speaker has come all the way from New York City to share his experiences in fashion PR with us. He is the editor-in-chief of the Warehouse District, which is a fashion and lifestyle PR firm. So please join me in welcome Dalton Primeaux.
Hey guys. Thanks so much for having me. This is really exciting, and thanks for the warm welcome. It's been really great. I love the energy in the room. Everyone seems really excited and pumped, and that's great. I didn't prepare a formal speech. I wrote one out and I said, you know what, this isn't what I want to do. I want to have a discussion. Fashion PR, there's so many moving parts, there's so many facets to it. So I want to kind of open it up and just talk to you about what I've done in the past, some advice to get you to where you want to be, and hopefully open it up to questions. Because I want to hear what you're thinking. I want to hear comments. I want to hear what's on your mind. What do you think fashion is? What do you think fashion PR is? What's the difference between that and more of like a corporate setting? So I'm very excited to hear some questions from you guys, so start thinking of those. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I graduated from Nichols University, so I am, yay, Louisiana. My concentration was PR, and I actually moved to New York a little over a year ago, so last summer in 2013. So I haven't been there long, but I have learned a lot in that short time being out there in the fashion world with all the intense personalities and lots of egos and pretty much everything you see in like the Hollywood version of fashion PR. I mean, when it comes to the personalities, it's real. Everyone, they always approach me and they're like, oh, so like Devil Wears Prada, and it's like, not quite, but when it comes to those egos, yeah, you are balancing a lot with them. I mean, you're working with some people that have been in the industry for longer than I've been alive. So of course they know a lot more, and instead of kind of feuding with those personalities, I think it's important to take in everything that you can to learn from them. A little bit about my background. I actually started studying in college film. So I didn't start out in PR. I didn't even know what PR was when I was a freshman in college. I was assisting some production crews for film. A few movies were being produced in New Orleans while I was there. And I was helping with production assistance, so I was working with extras and stuff like that. And eventually I kind of fell into the wardrobe department. So I was helping with costumes and styling and pulling and dressing. And after a while I was like, you know what, I really like this. I really like the creative aspect of fashion. It's different, it's engaging, and there is an art sense to it. I wasn't sure at that point what I wanted to do, but I was like, you know what, I'm ready to kind of dive deeper into fashion. So at that point I actually volunteered for a runway show in New Orleans just to kind of test the waters. And it was actually there that my supervisor pulled me aside and he's like, you need to work in PR, like, you have it, like, you have the drive. You are reaching out to, you know, press outlets and you don't even know what you're doing, but you're doing PR, like, you need to look into this. And I did look into it, and he was right, it's where I wanted to be. So I actually switched my major, switched my school, and I joined PRSSA. So I was actually vice president of my chapter, so Lexi, hey. And it helped me so much. The conferences were amazing. Actually, one of the national conferences that I went to was in Atlanta. And it was seriously, it was one of the best times of my life. And I think without that, I would not be where I am today. I learned so much from PRSSA and going to the conferences and reaching out, and I stayed in touch with a lot of people that I met there, and they kind of mentored me throughout the whole process. So after that point, and I was very sure that I wanted to be in PR and I wanted to do something in fashion, I actually started doing pro bono work for some designers, some independent designers, small boutiques. I wasn't looking for money. I didn't do it for any of those reasons. I honestly and genuinely only wanted to test myself. I wanted to see, how much do I know? Can I actually do this? Like, I wanted to, not only that, but kind of strengthen my skills, what I had, hone in on like what I can succeed with. And it turned out really well. My university actually reached out to me at that point. They noticed my outreaches, they've noticed my work, and they invited me to be their publicist for the school. I was working on their student programming association, which was doing all the events for the school, so everything that was going on during the semester at campus. So I was doing their social media and their news outreach, and it was really great. That was actually my first PR paid job, so that was really cool being in college and having that experience. And it was like my tenacity, like my tenaciousness, you know, not giving up and kind of reaching out and going beyond what was asked of me that I was approached. So after college, after graduation, I actually, for the warehouse district, it was started as a blog. It was started as a little newspaper that I worked on with my friend, and we did a little bit of outreach. We started doing some events, and right after graduation, I did a really successful, widely publicized event, and it was for the Audubon Institute. So we gained a lot of following from that, and we built up a really great community within Louisiana for not just fashion, but like artistic people and other PR people, other bloggers, and we did this event, and it was really widely publicized, and it was great. And at that point, I was like, you know what, like, I've done a lot here. I want to continue to grow. I want to challenge myself. I want to see how far I can go. And that's when I made the decision to move to New York. As much as I love Louisiana in the South, there is a fashion, life here. There is fashion here. There are boutiques and designers. There's some amazing designers in the South. You have the bloggers, you have the editors all here. But in New York, it's a different animal. It's completely insane. It's, you know, you have Fashion Week, you have all these things, and you know what, I wanted it. Like, I wanted to go the next level. So I actually took an internship, and it was just supposed to be for the summer. But a month into the internship, my director reached out to me, and she was like, you know what, you have a lot of potential. You have a lot of knowledge. You have the background. Do you want to work for me? And of course I was like, oh my god, yeah, duh. So a month into the internship, I took the position, and it was great. It was amazing, very fast-paced. It was exactly what I was looking for. And that's when I decided I'm going to be in New York permanently. This is my life. This is what I'm going to do. And actually, a few months later, I was approached by People's Revolution, which is a very well-known PR firm. So I worked there for about 8 months, and I was very lucky to have worked with our clients during Fashion Week, which I wish words can describe the experience. It's pretty much everything you think it is, but times 100. The intensity is, oh my god. I mean, we would spend night and day in the office. We would sleep at our office desk. Like, it would be, you know, turn in at 2 a.m., but we have a call time at 4 a.m. Let's just nap for a few hours. I actually, I have some blackmail for my coworker that worked with me. We were so tired and so exhausted by the end of it. She passed out by the refrigerator, cuddling a 2-liter bottle of Coke. So I'm like, Abby, if you ever mess with me, I have this blackmail, like, I will use it. So yeah, it's crazy, and we only had 7 or 8 shows during that fashion week. I mean, some companies run like 30, and it was intense. It was insane, and I loved it. I loved it so much. You meet so many people, and you're doing so much, and just the 11 minutes, because most fashion shows are 11 minutes, you're prepping for like 3 months for those 11 minutes, but just watching the show, watching people's face light up, watching the models walk down the runway, it's beautiful. It's art. You see art come alive. I wish I can put words to it. It's a feeling that I've never felt before. It's intense. It's amazing. So, that being said, after a while, I was actually approached by another PR firm. I'm now working with Bellari, which is a larger PR firm than People's Rep. People's Rep is very small. It was, of course, Kelly. Everyone knows Kelly. And then the president of the firm, Emily, and then it was myself and my coworker, Abby. Very small PR firm. Did a lot. And the way People's Rep is set up, it's kind of like a graduate school for PR. So they kind of morph you into the publicist you want to be and then let you go. And I was lucky enough to be let go very soon, like very sudden, and now I'm working at a very large PR firm. I actually work on the digital team, so I do blogger outreach, I do social media, any type of online campaign, and I love having this outlet to talk to you guys because, I mean, I was in your position a year and a half ago, so I know how you feel, and it's kind of scary trying to figure out what you want to do. I wish I had someone there telling me, like, you can do, like, digital PR. I know it's something that I was passionate about, and I didn't know there was a name for it. I didn't know there was a position for it, but it's so much fun. It's PR, but also using technology, and I'm a little bit of a nerd, so it's like mixing the best of, you know, both worlds with fashion, which is amazing. So I'm excited to share that with you. Like, if that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in social media, if you're interested in blogging, like, you can make a career out of that. You can make your PR career into whatever you want it to be. There's so many facets. And I'm not just saying just in New York. I mean, everyone needs social media. Everyone wants to do blogger outreach. So you have it there. And if that's something you're interested in, like, hone up on your skills. On top of that, I do a lot of freelance work. So I write and I style and I consult. So I'm very busy. But I love it. It's great being busy. Life as a publicist, though, I think there are a few misconceptions, and hopefully I can be very honest with you guys and kind of open it up. Hopefully not too brutally honest, but I think there's a big misconception when it comes to the glamour. It's very fun working in fashion, and you are surrounded by beautiful people and beautiful clothes, but it's hard work. It's very hard. Entry level and internships, you're going to do a lot of juggling and running around and heavy lifting. Oh my God. If you have ever seen like a full like beaded gown, like a Marchesa dress, have you ever lifted a Marchesa dress? It's heavier than I am. The beading is beautiful, but it's heavy, and you will be lifting 20 of those all at once. And for me in New York, you have both arms full of dresses that you can barely like hold, and you're running for the subway, and you know, during the summer it's hot, so you're like sweating and you have to get to point A and back and forth, and it's a lot of running and it's insane. So yeah, I mean, there's parts of it that aren't very glamorous. And you do have to kind of pay your dues when you're working in fashion. You have to build up. But it's the best way to learn. From the ground up is the best way to learn. It really is. A very sensitive subject, another misconception, money. I was actually approached by one of my interns who I love. She was at People's Rev, and she's now with me at Bellari. She also assists with the warehouse district, so she's very close to me. She said one of her roommates reached out to her and was like, oh my god, you're going to graduate soon and you're going to be like a millionaire, you're working in fashion. No, you're not going to make $1 million entry level. That's crazy. I mean, some of the editors that you know and love, that you see in Vogue and stuff, they are not making that much. And I think sometimes if that's the reason why you want to get into fashion, you want to be like head-to-toe glamour and Chanel and like all these name brands, and you want to make tons of money and live this crazy lifestyle, I think you're in it for the wrong reason. You have to do it because you love what you do. You have to do it because you love fashion, you love PR. Does that mean one day you won't, make that? No, of course. It just takes time to build up to get a very comfortable lifestyle. You do have to work your way up. I know, because I'm still working my way up. Like I said, I've only been, out of college for 1.5 years, so I'm, just like one step up now. But the growing and the challenges, that's the fun part of it. You have to see it like that. You're growing not just as a publicist, but as a person. So it's definitely worth it. The truth about fashion PR, it's stressful. Everyone, like I said, Devil Wears Prada, they watch that and they're like, are you running around? Yes, it's stressful. The hours, long hours, you have to get ready for that. Like, it's very stressful. But the pros, there is a sense of power that you get. Kelly Catrone, she often calls her publicist power bitches, and I'm sure you guys have heard that, but it's true. You do become powerful. Your clients rely on you so much. They really do. And there's so many editors that you meet that are huge influencers on the fashion world, on PR world. Like, you grow with them, and growing with them, and getting to know them, that's where you get power from. People will reach out to you for your influence. Hey, what's cool, what's hot? Can you get me this brand? Can you get me an exclusive? Like, there is a power to that. And when you get that first editor like reaching out to you like, hey, can you give me this exclusive? It's like, oh my god, yes. Like, it feels great. It feels great to have that power, and it does come with it, and it's amazing. It's amazing to get to that point. And I mean, the creativity, like the creative aspect of fashion PR is so exciting. The campaigns that you get to do, the writing, I love writing. And if you're like me, then you get to express yourself through words. You get to craft these amazing press releases and pitches, and it's really, really fun and cool. So if you're really creative, it's a great outlet for you. Also, the people that you work with, like, you are, working with some of the most amazing, talented, powerful people in the PR world, and working with them, and working with these editors and celebrities, it makes it kind of worth it. It makes the long hours worth it. And the reports. I don't know if you guys know about PR reports. Brace yourself for that. I have to go home after this and do reports. That's why I'm just like, reports are so intimidating and so ruthless. You have to do it at least once a month, and it's just basically writing out everything you've ever done for your client, being like, here, this is what I've done for you. Reports are awful. But all these things, these creative aspects, having that outlet, all these people that you're working with, it makes it worth it. So a few common tasks for me. There's no typical PR day. You may have to do damage control sometime. You may have to, I don't know, there's so many crises, and it's like, fashion, what crisis? It comes to crisis sometimes. It's on I don't know, you've put your gown or dress on someone and they're doing a public appearance, but they were just in the tabloids for like, I don't know, doing something awful, kicking a dog, I don't know. And this person, your client, loves PETA and they don't want people kicking dogs, so you have to come up with that damage control. That's something you can't really plan ahead of time. Yeah, there's a crisis plan that we usually work out, and it's just kind of like different channels that we go through. But it's not something that you can do ahead of time. So when you get to the office and you have that crisis, you have to jump on it. So day-to-day tasks are a little different. I have a few that I kind of mapped out, and knowing that I'm coming here. So like I had a really busy day on Tuesday because I was flying in, so I'm like, I have to do all this stuff, and I just kind of like tack down notes, like let me give them a taste of what I do. So first off, I was working on some digital campaigns, and these were focused on consumer interaction. So I did like social media and Facebook and stuff like that, and trying to get some engagement from our audience. So that was a focus for me. I manage all the client social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all those good things. Very exciting, very creative, it's fun to have that outlet. I also do blogger seeding. So not only as a publicist am I reaching out to celebrities or editors to get our clothes in magazines and on the tabloids, I'm also reaching out to bloggers, which is totally new. Bloggers are huge now, huge. And it's so crazy because a lot of the times you reach out to them and they're like, oh wait, I have to speak to my agent first. And you're like, you're a blogger, why do you have an agent? But it does happen sometimes, and they are a huge, huge effort when it comes to fashion PR now. Definitely, it's a different age, and it's a great outlet, and it's really fun. And I've been working with the bloggers for a couple months now, and I have to say they're very fun to work with. It's very exciting to see kind of that instant gratification. You send your options, your clothing to them, and they wear it, they post it on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just like, hey, got this placement for you, like, we just sent it like a day ago, here's your results, and the clients, of course, are like dancing with joy, and it's amazing to see that. I also coordinate showroom visits, so if we have like a celebrity that needs to get dressed, they'll come in and I'll help them out and show them some of their clients. Sometimes we have like VIP bloggers that come in as well. Lots of phone calls, lots of conferences. We do team brainstorms throughout the day. I had like 6 that day, which was crazy because I was like meeting with the celebrities and like running around. Oh wait, I have this brainstorm. Oh wait, I have this call. Like, so it's balancing a lot of that. It's juggling tons of conferences and meetings, and sending through the placements to your clients as, you know, as it gets to the magazine. You want to clip it and send it to them and be like, this is what I did. You want to show proof of your work. Also attending events, industry events, if there's any type of editor events, you want to go even though it's not your event because you want to outreach, and that's very important. You know, I also assist with event planning as well, and I also have tons of visits to Starbucks. That's a big part of my day. So I usually arrive at the office around 9 a.m., which is not bad. Some PR firms, it's like 7 a.m. You're there until 2, and I'm very lucky. I get to leave around 7. And then when I get home, I'm continuing to work on drafting pitches. So when I go home, it's not the end of the day for me. It's just kind of like I get to transition to my bed and work. So tons of press releases, media kits, working on client decks. So if you're doing like proposals, you like to send through what you can do for your client. So I work on those decks for my clients. I also do a lot of freelance writing and editing, so I'll work on that at night. And if I'm very lucky, I'll be finished work around midnight and be in bed by 2. I'm willing to wake up at 7 and do it all over again. And this is like the easy life for me. At People's Rev, I would get out of the office at 11. That was like my usual time. That's the usual time for a lot of fashion PR people. So the long hours are kind of inevitable. Like, you have to go into it with a really positive mindset and not think, oh God, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. You have to think, like, this is more time that I get to spend with my director. This is more time I get to learn. It's more time I get to be creative. It's all about being positive. It's all about the right mindset. That is what makes a strong publicist, in my eyes. And then some of my favorite PR moments. I loved Fashion Week, as crazy as it was. One of my favorite designers ever, and probably one of the reasons why I went into fashion was Jeremy Scott. He's basically like the Andy Warhol of our time, because he does all this crazy pop art stuff. He speaks to our modern day culture, but through fashion. And that really speaks to me, and I like weird people, and I like people that do different things, so it was an absolute honor to work with him and produce his show, and it went amazing, and we had great celebrity turnouts, great editor turnouts, and I was actually approached by one of the managers at Milk Studios. I'm not sure if you guys know, but for Fashion Week you have like Lincoln Center, which is Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, but you also have Milk Studios, where they do Made Fashion Week. So there's different like venues throughout the week of Fashion Week, but Jeremy Scott shows at Milk, and they actually approached me and they told me that it was one of their best turnouts ever in that front of house, which I do. It was the best and most organized they have ever seen. So that was amazing to hear that. That was so gratifying because it made the endless work hours, the sleepless nights, really worth it. And working with Jeremy was amazing. And just, I adore him. I still follow him today, and he will always be one of my favorites. Also, right now, one of my clients at Polari is Nicole Miller, and she is amazing. When I first started working with her, my first introduction was actually on a phone call, and later I went into her showroom with my director, and Nick Mills came out and she approached me and she was like, Dalton Primeaux? And my director, like, her mouth was like dropped, like, how does she know you? I'm like, girl, like, please. So that one interaction with Nick Mills was amazing, and she really is one of my favorite designers. She's just the process. I got to see kind of her behind the scenes work, and I'm not trying to like pitch my client to you guys, I genuinely like her. She actually makes all her textiles. I think a lot of people don't know that. Like, that's really, really awesome. Usually it's imported or whatnot. She makes her own textiles in her showroom in New York, and they're beautiful and they're inspired. And her spring 15 collection that she just did, I got to see the process of it, and it floored me. She got a whole bunch of fruit and just threw it on a table and asked her interns to smash it up. And I'm like, what's going on? But she's sitting there and they're cutting it up and mashing it up and like moving it around. She takes a picture and she screens that as her print for 2015. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful print. So it's like those little behind the scenes, moments with the designers that become my favorite interactions. It's just an amazing process to watch. It is. I love being a part of it. I also love the closet. I feel like this may be not something I should be talking about, but the closet is real. When you're at a PR firm, they have the closet. Devil Wears Prada, when she goes get her boots, the Chanel boots from the closet, like they have it Vogue, that happens. There is a closet. I get free stuff, like, it's real. So, yeah, pay maybe, not millions of dollars, but I get a hell of a lot of swag, and it's pretty great. My boyfriend's in the back. He can like talk about it. We don't buy Christmas presents anymore. We just give them PR samples. So, yeah, it's a really fun experience, and I'm gonna wrap up because I feel like I've been talking so long. But I want to finish with some advice, just what I've learned. I want to help you guys out a little bit. Just in general for PR, networking's so important. I noticed that early on, so I was very lucky, and I definitely used that. So go to industry events. If there's some fashion event on campus or around the city, go. Meet people. Just talking to someone that has the same interest as you, that helps you so much. Not only are you learning from that other person and they're learning from you, but you're also networking. You're growing. And you want to grow that base to start your career. It's so important. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to press. Even if it's just a fan letter and you want to talk to them and just be like, hey, you're one of my favorite journalists. Like, I love that last story you wrote. When you go into your PR position, wherever it may be, if you have a story that you want this person to pitch, they're going to remember, oh my gosh, this person sent me this fan letter. Like, keep in touch with them. You know, use that networking. And that's something that I did, and I'm so happy that I did. And I'm so happy that I kept in touch with a lot of my editors from here, because no matter where you are in the world, you will always need regional press. You will always need press in New York, LA, all these different places. When you're traveling, network, go to events, you know, meet these journalists, meet these editors. It's so important. And then next, I think it's also important to realize the difference when it comes to the different types of publications and editors, especially in fashion. A lot of times when I'm working with other assistants or I'm working with interns, they're asked to draft a list of editors that we want to do an outreach to, we want to send a press release to. And they will put a market editor on like a news press release. And I know some of you guys are probably like, I don't know the difference. But knowing the difference will like make you go so much further. Market editors are the people that we send samples to. Those are the people that do the spreads, the fashion spreads. You wouldn't send them a news release because they're just going to toss it. They don't write news. So if you have something newsworthy, you want to send it to the appropriate editor. And something that I do, I just kind of flip through magazines and look at the masthead. You know, study it, memorize it. It helped me so much. One of my first jobs, the one that I was interning at, the reason why I kind of made that step, that advance so quickly, is because I knew my editors. I knew the difference between news and market, and I knew who was, you know, the fashion editor at this magazine and that magazine. And it makes outreach a lot quicker. It makes it more dialed in, so you know you have an even greater chance of getting a story. So just kind of do some research. Know your weeklies, your quarterlies, monthlies. What's the difference between that? Know short lead, long lead. Everyone knows short lead and long lead. Everyone knows the difference. Maybe, kind of. It's really important to know that. Trade publications, journals, those are different. Know the difference between them. And then also, just kind of get accustomed, get familiar with the newspaper. Read your newspaper every day. I had People's Rev. That was one of our tasks. We would get into the office and read the newspaper. And I think a lot of people are like, but you're in fashion. What do you know? Like, you need to know current events. We actually, oh gosh, I'm going off on another tangent, but okay. At People's, there was a story that happened at Barney's. A man was accused of stealing, and it became like a a racial thing, and it was awful. It was awful. And I love Barney's, I do, but we had a partner at the time, we had a client that did a partnership with Barney's at the time. All this stuff, we couldn't launch our partnership while all this was going on, you know? Would we have known about it if we didn't read the newspaper? No. So yeah, that's just a little tidbit. But it's very important to know current events, because not only are you in the loop and you know what's going on in the world, it's so important to be informed and be aware of every aspect of the world as a publicist, but it also helps you with like social media. It helps you come up with stories. It helps you connect with people. If there's something going on, you want to jump in that conversation. It gets engagement, you get followers, it's great. Another thing, well, just for more of the beauty or fashion side of PR, I would read the daily media every Friday. Look that up, Google it, jot it down. It's really, really helpful, especially with those, the editors, because that tells you who's going where. In fashion, people are always mixing and changing their jobs and going this place and getting raises and changing positions within a publication, and you want to be the first to know. The daily media tells you. It's amazing. It's definitely something that saved my life and my press releases and my outreaches more than anything else. So if you're using some kind of database or like Fashion GPS or something, you want to check the daily media every day and keep it updated. And then for fashion, not only do you want to read newspapers, but you want to read fashion magazines. You want to know designers that are hot. You want to know the different writers, editors. You want to stay on trend with things. Don't just read like Vogue or Bazaar. You want to read like the non-mainstream magazines as well, because they're creative and they're also a great outlet that people sometimes don't think about. So like as a publicist, it's great to reach out to those smaller companies before they get big, because then it's networking, you have a connection there, it's really great. Also know and understand delivery dates and how that affects pitches. Delivery dates are when the clothing is delivered. I know I was talking about Nicole Miller's like Spring 15. She just did her fashion show. Her delivery date for that is not going to be right now. I know the fashion show is right now, but it's for spring, so it's going to be, you know, in February. And it's kind of, it sounds backwards, but it's actually just like a fast forward. So knowing delivery dates are great, especially for market editors. When you're working with someone that's doing a spread at a fashion magazine, you want that September issue, which is always very important. It's a huge issue, but you don't reach out in September. If you know your delivery dates, you would reach out in May or March. You reach out ahead of time, and you shoot it that month, and it doesn't come out until September. And it's very different with short lead and long lead and all that stuff. So jot down names, because it's going to take me a long time to go into all that, but you guys can do the research. Or just email me after. I love typing and talking, and so if you have questions after, I'll be like, yes, delivery dates. Here's a book on it that I wrote. So, so that's very important. And also experience. If you have not done internships yet, do them. They're amazing. You learn so much from it. And I know a lot of people are like, but I'm not paid. Yeah, some of them are unpaid, and it's rough. Because I know me, when I did my unpaid internship during college, I had school, and then I had a part-time job, and then I had my internship, and it was crazy. But it's so worth it. You learn so much, and you're going to get ahead of the game. You're going to be, you know, beyond where your expectations are. And you want that. You want to learn. You want to grow. So yeah, I've been talking enough. I would love a few minutes for questions, if anyone has any specific questions before I go. Yeah.
I was once on PR internship, and I knew it and everything, but I wanted to know if there's a little bit
What do you mean by community?
Kind of like working with nonprofits or like working for a cause, but like
For me, that's also a big part. I love working nonprofit. With the Warehouse District, all my events are completely nonprofit based. That's kind of why I started the Warehouse District, is to find the middle ground between them. It's very hard to find that, but I think there are outlets. It's just finding them. Unfortunately, I don't know any. Other than the Warehouse District, you can come intern with me. But I would say do a lot of research. A lot of people, a lot of nonprofits, they do partner up with different designers. And I think it would be worth looking into their outreach. Unfortunately, I can't think of it. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Who's the chick from Top Model? Tyra Banks. She actually does a nonprofit that works with girls. She does a lot of like women's shelters, stuff like that. I'm not sure if it's regional. I know it's in New York, but she does do a lot of fashion branding with it. She does a lot of outreach. So there are those outlets there. It's just finding them. For that, I would contact the nonprofit. And I would say, I'm interested in fashion, I'm interested in doing this. Is there a way to get in? Like, how can I, how can I intersect my two interests? Or, and this is really cool, because actually the founder of the PR firm that I'm working at now, she had an idea, and she reached out to someone and said, look, this is my idea, I want to do this, and they picked it up. So, Allie, yeah.
I kind of met her a little bit,
Yeah, so you're familiar with her. She actually was the first publicist for Shop Up. I don't know if you guys know Shop Up, it's an online store. When she graduated from college, she reached out in a comment on their website, if I'm not mistaken, and said, hey, I can do this PR stuff for you. You're not doing it yet, let me do it. I think that's worth doing. If there's a company that you want to work with, and you want them to start some kind of fashion outreach, reach out to them. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's going to be in their head. Even if they say no, follow up with them. Like, I think it's really important to have that entrepreneurship when it comes to fashion, when it comes to PR. Because there's so much space for everyone, so like make it what you want it to be. Yeah.